All right, so we're going to try the next set where we have roots and exponents, and we're going to remember what undoes the root and what undoes the exponent. So first thing, we're going to switch x and y. So we've got x equals y to the third plus 5, and we're going to solve for y. So the first thing, I'm going to minus 5 from both sides. So I get x minus 5 equals y to the third. All right, and so when we solve for the exponent of 3, the way that we get rid of an exponent of 3 is with a root of 3. So the root and the exponent are going to cancel each other out. So we get y equals, and then it's the cube root of x minus 5. That was a really ugly looking 5. We'll try that again. There we go. And then we want to note that it's the inverse, so we put a little -1 as our notation. All right. Next one. Remember, f of x is meaning y, so we're going to switch the x and the y. Okay, so now this whole entire right-hand side is inside the cube root. So we need to get rid of that cube root. So the thing that undoes the root is the exponent. So we've got to have a 3 as an exponent. And what I do to one side, I got to do the other. So the cube root and the cube, they're going to cancel. So we get x to the third equals y minus 4. And then I add 4. So I get y equals x to the third plus 4. But remember, it was function notation. So we're going to do f inverse equals x to the third plus 4. And that's my inverse function. All right, so same idea with the next two. We're going to switch x and y. Again, this is function notation, so that's like a y. So x equals y plus 4 to the 5th. This whole entire right-hand side is being raised to the 5th. So the thing that gets rid of an exponent of 5 is a root of 5. So what we do to one side, we got to do to the other. So if we do the 5th root, we do it on both sides. Now the 5th root and the exponent of 5 are going to cancel. So we get the 5th root of x is equal to y plus 4. And I want to solve for y, so I'm going to minus 4. Now that happens after the root, so this minus 4 is going to be outside of the root. So we get y equals the 5th root of x, and then the minus 4 happens after, so it's going to be outside after the root. Now, because it was function notation, again, it's going to be f inverse x equals the 5th root of x minus 4. And that's my inverse for that function. All right, last one. We switch x and y. Okay, so the plus 3 is happening outside of the root, so I'm going to get rid of that plus 3 first, so I'm going to minus 3. So I get x minus 3 equals the 5th root of y. Now, what undoes the root? And that's the exponent. So I need a 5 as an exponent, so it'll cancel out. And then I do a 5 as an exponent here, so I've got to do a 5 as an exponent on the other side. So the 5th root and the 5 are going to cancel, so we get y equals x minus 3 to the 5th. Now we can't distribute in that 5. Remember, that's like having a squared out there. You would have to write that x minus 3 5 times. So I don't want to do that. That would be a waste of time. So the only thing I need to do with this is put a little -1 there to note that it's my inverse and box that in as my final answer. All right, so you guys now try. Nope, I was just kidding. There are 2 more examples, so let me do those with you before sending you on to the year term. All right, switch x and y. So these have a few more steps involved. but it's the same process. So we want to solve for y. So first thing, outside of the root is a minus 5, so I'm going to add 5. So I get x plus 5 equals the third root of y plus 2. Now this whole thing is inside the root, so I want to get rid of the root with an exponent of 3. So then I put an exponent of 3 on this side. So the root and the exponent cancel. So I get x plus 5 to the third equals y plus 2. Last step, minus 2. Now that happens after the exponent of 3, so that minus 2 is going to be outside of these parentheses. So my final answer is going to be y equals x plus 5 to the third minus 2, and then we note that it's the inverse by doing that little exponent of negative 1. All right, now we're on to the last one. So we switch x and y. X equals y minus 7 to the fifth plus 9. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that plus 9 on the outside first by minusing 9. So I get x minus 9 equals y minus 7 to the fifth. Now this whole right-hand side is being raised to the fifth. So the way that I get rid of an exponent is with a root. And now they have to match, so it's the fifth root, so that they cancel. Fifth root and raised to the fifth are going to cancel. So we get the fifth root of x minus 9 equals y minus 7. And then I add 7. And that happens after I take the root, so it's going to be outside of the root. So it's y equals the fifth root of x minus 9 plus 7 is outside of it because it happens after. And then I look and I see, all right, it's function notation, so I just have to change that y to function notation. F inverse equals the fifth root of x minus 9 plus 7. Final answer. All right, now you guys can finish the year times on the sheet.